Hey there, Alex Kidman here, and today I'm taking a look at the Shokz OpenFit wireless headphones. That's this little black box here with headphones inside, and look, there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of true wireless headphones out there, even at this kind of price point, which is a bit above your kind of basic average price point, but these are quite different from any other headphones I've tested in this kind of category. For one very simple reason. Most true wireless buds are exactly that. They're buds. They have a little piece that sits within your ear, providing audio, providing isolation, providing noise cancelling in some cases. The Shokz OpenFit don't do this, but instead of, as is the case with some of their other offerings, which are bone conduction based, that's because what you get are these little open speakers. And once again, I'm going to pop down to my desk to show off what it is they do and where I think they're good and not so good. The outside of the Shokz case, well, I mean, it just looks like a relatively largish case. And it is kind of big, but it'll still fit in a pants pocket without too many dramas. But open them up and you really do see the difference, because each of them, instead of being an in-ear bud, is this little speaker arrangement. And then that sits over your ears. Now, that's an open feel that is a lot lighter on your ears. So if you're someone who struggles with comfort issues, who finds that the little tips of most buds fit in your ears, but after a while, especially after a few hours, you really start feeling sore, these could be a very good option. I will say they have been amongst the most comfortable headphones I've tested for a very long while. Each of these is nice and light. They worked reasonably well with my glasses, and I was pleasantly surprised by that, because when I first looked at them, I kind of thought, ooh, I'm not sure these are actually going to work all that well for me. But they did, more or less. The other issue, of course, with OpenFit style like this is whether or not they're going to sit securely on your ears. And this kind of brings me back to when true wireless buds were a new thing and people were really kind of freaked out about whether or not, when they went for a run, were they going to fall out of their ears and down a gutter. So to find that out, let's go ask a man who's just run 5 kilometres. Okay, so I've just finished a 5k run, and they stayed on okay. They do feel a bit loose though. Running would be okay. I'm not sure that dance or kickboxing, I guess, anything more where you had to move your head a bit more energetically wouldn't work quite as well, but they're okay. They certainly don't feel as tight as a pair of traditional buds. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to collapse in a puddle of sweat. So, yeah, questionable headwear aside, that's my opinion on them for running. They're okay, not brilliant. They're definitely a little bit more loose than you would get with regular wireless buds with actual things that hold into your ears. So yeah, for running, for a lot of exercise, generally I think they will hold in. Obviously, I suppose it might depend on your ears a little bit. The hooks might actually hold better for some people. For my purposes, they did still feel a little loose. In terms of setup, look, the actual setup for them is nice and simple if you want it to be, because literally all you've got to do is have them in the case, like I do eventually here, close it, open it back up, and hold down on both of these. There's touch-sensitive areas, that's super common on a lot of these. And see how that's now blinking? That means, hey, they're ready to pair. And they'll pair with just about anything because they're just regular Bluetooth at the end of the day. That's all quite good. They do have an app for iOS or Android that can do firmware updates, that can do various equalization settings, but you're not actually, strictly speaking, required to use it. Now, on those touch-sensitive areas, lots of these kinds of headphones use touch sensitivity for playback controls, and the Shokz do. Well, I say they do, but they don't. And when I say they don't, I mean they do, but they don't work all that well at all. I have tapped at my ears, I have thumped at my ears, I've tried time and time again, and these things just don't want to play ball. They're actually amongst the worst of that type. And I'd basically say if you're going to get these, you're probably just going to be using your phone for most control functions overall, because the touch area is somewhere that Shokz really needs to do some work on. I could indeed say that it's a bit shocking. All of which might sound like the Shokz OpenFit headphones aren't worth bothering with, but that's not actually the whole story. Now look, that open design where the speaker's sitting just outside your ear, obviously you don't get the same kind of isolation, there's no noise cancellation, but the audio that you get out of these is surprisingly good. And if you need aware audio, if you do need to be hearing the environment around you, then yeah, look, these could work very well indeed. They're generally slightly more tuned for bass at their standard equalization, but you can mess with that with the app if you need to. And playing through a bunch of different songs, yeah, I was quite happy with them when I went on that run, I could hear my music just fine, and others around me didn't really say that there was much in the way of audio leakage. Some of these were genuinely very impressive was in phone calls. And look, that's an area where I'm often a little bit cautious about saying too much about the performance of a given set of headphones, because so much of the quality that you get and depends so much more on the network and other variables at the time a call is made. But everyone who's called me while I was wearing these has said, if asked, that the audio came through really crystal clear, picked up lots of nice ambient sound as well. Really, really good effort in that regard. What about battery life? Well, they're slightly larger than most buds, and this gives them a little bit of a battery life endurance boost as well. Shokz rates them for being good for up to about 7 hours of listening time. That is a little longer than most competing buds in this price range, and they're basically good for that. Typically more like 6.5 in my estimation, but obviously it does depend on what you're using them for. The case themselves can give you another 3 charges in total for a total of 28 hours of listening time, although you wouldn't get 28 hours in one hit. It takes an hour to actually recharge them fully each time. But then I don't think you should really be listening to anything for 28 hours straight without some sleep. So should you buy them? Look, this is an interesting set of headphones. They're not exactly for everyone, especially at their price point. And they're not like other headphones, which makes them kind of difficult to compare to other things. If you have issues with, let's call them traditional true wireless buds and their comfort level, then these might be exactly what you're looking for. If you're after the absolute best in audio representation, then they're not going to be, but that's just a matter of them being that open-ear design. There's nothing that they can do to get around them. Here in Australia, a set of these Shokz OpenFit headphones will run you about $289. You can get them via Amazon, and there's a link in the description below. So that's my take on these Shokz OpenFit headphones. What do you think? What do you want to know? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.